Hello, I'm Donald McIntyre of Newfination.com. This is Newfination Live, and joining us is Fred Ehrsam, co-founder of Coinbase. Hello, Fred. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Fred, I wanted to talk to you about Coinbase, but before that, I wanted to ask about your background.
Sure, absolutely. So prior to doing Coinbase, I was trading foreign exchange at Goldman Sachs in New York. I've probably been looking at Bitcoin for 2 or 3 years now, and that was sort of how I got into it initially, as almost a fun sort of trading side hobby, if you will, with a friend or two of mine. And it was certainly interesting from that aspect for a little while. And it was only later, probably a year or two after that, that I really got into Bitcoin for its power in a payment processing network. I'd done software engineering stuff. I did computer science at college prior to that, so the two of them seemed to fit together rather fortuitously, and here I am.
I think it's the perfect combination of experience because you're an engineer, and on the other side, you were a trader at Goldman Sachs. So Bitcoin is a combination of those two things.
Yes, yeah, no, and quite luckily so.
I know, Fred, that Bitcoin is a currency, and the Bitcoin network is part of the same thing. But Coinbase is a company that works on that platform. Can you tell me what are your services and what Coinbase is?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can think of Coinbase just as you described, as sort of a platform which offers services on top of Bitcoin, the currency, and the payment rails. So that means three sort of distinct things in terms of a product offering. The first is easy exchange of fiat currency for Bitcoin. At the moment, that means you can hook up any US bank account and start buying or selling Bitcoin. The second is a hosted Bitcoin wallet. So this is an easy place that looks like a web app rather than something that might be harder for the average consumer to use. That lets you store, send, receive Bitcoin in a way that Gmail kind of looks like. The final piece is sort of the PayPal for Bitcoin, if you will, from the merchant side. It's a suite of merchant tools that let merchants accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. And that obviously covers a lot of ground, but that's sort of why we describe it as a platform. So we have an API that lets you do all those things that I just described.
Um, so it's like you have three services. You mentioned first the exchange where I can go as a consumer and buy and sell, or as a merchant and buy and sell this new currency, Bitcoins.
Correct.
And but I also can open an account at Coinbase. In fact, I opened one, and
Hmm.
it does look like a Gmail client where I can send Bitcoins and receive Bitcoins. It's like email, but instead of being email, it's coins.
Hmm.
That's my image at least. And then there's a solution for merchants so that if I were a merchant, I could receive payments for my services or whatever I sell.
That's correct.
How is the experience for the consumer? If I start from scratch and I say, okay, I want to buy just the scenario or the case where I just want to buy Bitcoin for investment, what do I have to
Sure.
do?
Yeah, I mean, our goal was to make that process as frictionless as possible. So right now, you would simply need to create an account on the site that's literally just enter your email, verify a phone number, and then you can instantly link your bank account. And in probably 2 to 3 minutes, you can start buying or selling Bitcoin. And that process is meant to be as frictionless as possible. We actually rolled out something at the end of last week for our quote-unquote verified users, those who have gone through a little bit more identity verification, where you can buy up to 50 Bitcoin instantly. So it's all about making that process easy.
I opened the wallet, and I also
Yeah,
downloaded the app here. The app here, I see that it's just like an email. I can send or I can request. And
correct.
it also creates a little. Do you see the square there at the corner, in the corner?
Yep,
It's a little
absolutely.
like a QR code. I guess that is my wallet address also,
Yeah, so I
the
mean,
QR code.
Yeah, you could imagine a number of scenarios where you would use that sort of as a point of sale or even a peer-to-peer transfer where, a merchant, let's say you go to buy, actually there's a bakery a couple blocks away from us here in San Francisco that sells cupcakes for Bitcoin. They'll ring you up and present you a little QR code on the phone that contains the payment information. You scan it and hit send and you're done.
Is the analogy of this being like an email client, the wallet, like an email client where you can send and receive something, but instead of emails, it's Bitcoins? Is that a correct
Yeah,
analogy
that's a
for a
very
consumer?
appropriate analogy. Yeah, so email sort of runs on SMTP, right? This low-level protocol on top of which Gmail and Hotmail and other email clients are built on top of. You could think of Bitcoin and Coinbase as having a similar relationship. Bitcoin is this very low-level binary protocol for payments rather than email, and Coinbase is a service provider that sits on top of that that makes it easy to use.
So, and you just said you just mentioned San Francisco. So your company, you are based in San Francisco.
That's correct.
So that is also something that for me is a difference as a consumer. I have read about the government and the government of California interfering in some Bitcoin companies. They
Hmm.
sent a cease and desist order to the Bitcoin Foundation. It's like, and everybody's talking about like Bitcoin is used for Silk Road and for illegal things. But the fact that you're here and you're providing this service of for consumers like me to open an account, did you have to do that, or does it bring the image of legitimacy? Is there a know your customer process that you have to go through,
Yeah.
being regulated?
Yeah. There's a lot of embedded questions there, but the general sort of thought around all of that is, in order for Bitcoin to go mainstream, and this is sort of the thesis of Coinbase, really. In order for Bitcoin to go mainstream, you need two main things. The first is something that the average consumer can easily use. We sort of talked about that. The second is you need these bridges between the traditional financial world and this new virtual currency world, and that's what another one of the things that Coinbase is really focused on. So that's meant a couple of things over time. It sort of means having the right stamps of approval and credibility stamps as you progress to be able to preserve that sort of relationship where you have one foot in the traditional financial world and the other in the virtual currency world. So we're the first Bitcoin company to get a full US bank integration, in the sense that we have full access to the ACH network to let people buy and sell Bitcoin in the way that we are. And we're in talks with regulators, as you described, because it's something, frankly, that I think regulators really don't fully understand, because it's hard to understand, and there's a lot of new and open questions. Um, but we sort of feel that it's our responsibility to both further ourselves and the Bitcoin ecosystem by going and speaking with regulators or law enforcement, whoever it may be, bankers in the traditional world, such that this new technology can flourish.
I think that's huge, because many others are going the more rebellious way. You're going the friendly way, and
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah,
and
no, I strongly agree with that. I mean, I think that, it's already hard enough to get adoption of a new technology where the idea is so radical. In this case, I think it's very powerful at the same time. But that being said, you don't want to alienate yourself, and I think there really are massive efficiencies that virtual currency can bring to everyday economic transactions. And the real fight we want here is one to increase adoption, not to try to resist regulators.
um, for me as a consumer, I'm just an observer of what's happening in new financial services with the internet and new technologies, and Bitcoin is one.
Hmm.
But as a consumer, I actually opened my first Bitcoin wallet with Coinbase because of what you said. I read, I think, on TechCrunch or Huffington Post somewhere that it was
Hmm.
easy, it was legit, it was based here in the US. I wouldn't have any problems. And the fact that I could connect my regular dollar bank account very easily because you have that connection with the ACH system.
Right. I'm glad to hear that.
Um, so now, so going back to the user experience, I am a regular user. I opened the wallet, which is what I would also use the analogy of a bank account, but where the
Hmm.
bank is Coinbase, like a kind of bank, and where I can have there instead of dollars, I can have my bitcoins.
Right.
Um, do when now that everything is connected, I can upload dollars or change dollars for bitcoins and then bitcoins for dollars. It's very easy to do. But if I want to send money to a friend or a family member or anybody else, does the other party need to have also Coinbase?
No, actually. So you can send Bitcoin to any email address, and it will just wait there for the person who you sent it to be claimed. So it automatically will just generate an account. All I have to do is sign in, and their Bitcoin is right there.
If I send no say 2 bitcoins to my kids in Argentina,
Hmm.
they will get an email, and what do they get? What is it?
It's yeah, they get an email saying, "Hey, your dad has sent you 2 Bitcoin with maybe some message." And click on this link to claim them, and they'll just create a password, and they'll have a Coinbase account with 2 Bitcoin in it.
Okay, so they get the email with the email is really it's not the currency itself, the money. It's a message, and then
Yes.
they have to click and open a Coinbase wallet
Correct.
also, and then they would be credited. So in the end, they need to have a wallet also.
In the yes, you can also send it to any Bitcoin address, by the way, but that is a more convenient way to do it, I think.
Then when I saw also many websites and YouTube channels even that they put their code. You mentioned before a 30
Their Bitcoin
character.
address, yeah,
Is that like the email address in the Gmail analogy?
yeah, that's appropriate analogy exactly. That's their address on the Bitcoin network.
So now that I got my wallet, did I get one of those? Where do I see it?
Yeah, there's actually a sub page on Coinbase where you can go and see the public addresses that are associated with your Coinbase account. So if for whatever reason the other person wasn't on Coinbase, you could simply provide them with that address and they could send Bitcoin to you that way.
So that means if I want to sell or receive money, I have to give them that 30 character code that is there on my wallet
If they're not a Coinbase user, that's correct. Otherwise, they could just send Bitcoin to your email address.
to my email address. If someone in China has a Bitcoin that they need to send to me, what do I
Mhm.
give them? My email address or that 30 character code?
If they're not a Coinbase user, you could give that address to anybody who uses Bitcoin. That's very universal. Um, if they happen to be a Coinbase user, it's usually easier for people to exchange email addresses because they're already known a lot of times rather than that 30 character address. So you would probably do that instead. But either
So
works.
so outside anybody that is not a Coinbase user can use the 30 character address, and
Correct.
within Coinbase, just my email.
Yeah, so the email address is sort of an abstraction that we've built on top of the very low levels of Bitcoin to make it a little bit more usable. That being said, the Bitcoin address is universal to everything on the Bitcoin network.
Then now let's go to the second service, the exchange, buy and sell.
Sure.
No, you are a trader, and I was a stockbroker also before, so I like to trade. How is the service? I go to my wallet, and there I have a like a button or something to sell, to sell or to buy,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
I put the amount and whatever price. Is there, because when everybody trades stocks and there's a screen where you have all the symbols and the bid ask volume, is it more or less
Mhm.
like that?
Yeah, so the way we've built the buy and sell aspect of it is pretty simplistic. It's more meant to be, you can actually think of it more as a brokerage service more than an exchange in the traditional financial sense. The idea is that you can simply come on, link a US bank account, and buy or sell Bitcoin. There isn't an order book in the way there is on an exchange or resting orders. We just simply provide you a price at which you can buy or sell, which is very competitive. It's not meant to be opaque in any way. And that's really it. I mean, the analogy here that I like to use is, if you're going to go and trade or buy Apple shares for your personal stock portfolio, you don't go to the New York Stock Exchange. I think exchanges should be a B2B function and will sort of evolve to be more of a B2B function as the Bitcoin ecosystem develops. We're sort of the consumer-friendly front that anybody can go hook up their bank account and start using right away.
Is there a section like to see the chart? Because when I as a trader, not as a consumer, but as a consumer that is a trader, I want to know what's the price because I want to make money buying and selling with a price difference. With this simplicity that you say, do you have a page where I can see at least the evolution of the price so I know if I'm buying low, buying high?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's one of the links on the top of the main page is for charts, so you can see the price over time there.
Okay, so I could say buy 10 Bitcoin at let's say 94, and if it goes up to 120 tomorrow, I can sell them everything within my wallet on Coinbase.
Yes.
And the third question then, if I am a merchant, say Newfination, and I want people to come to Newfination and buy an ebook or something, and I want to open it to so that I can be paid with Bitcoin. How does that work? What do I have to do?
Yeah, so I mean, you would create a user account just like you would any other account on Coinbase. And then depending on how exactly you wanted to collect payments, you could simply give somebody your Bitcoin address, you give them your email address, or let's say you wanted to put it on your website. We do everything from generate a little pay with Bitcoin button that you can just plop right on your site, and it's connected to your merchant account automatically. You could have a hosted checkout page. The great part about all this actually is if you're a merchant who's sensitive to the exchange rate, we even have a feature that lets you lock in the exchange rate of every payment that you receive it, or when you receive it, such that, let's say you're used to paying or you're used to pricing your goods in dollars. You can say, hey, this good is supposed to be $20 on my site. You receive the appropriate amount of Bitcoin, and that payment exchange rate is locked in right away such that you know you're going to receive $20 in your payout at the end of the day. So you don't even have to think about Bitcoin exchange rate movements as a merchant.
So you mentioned that I can post a button on my, so it's more or less like PayPal.
Exactly, yeah.
PayPal is for dollars and Coinbase is for Bitcoins.
Yes, in a simplistic sense, absolutely.
Let's go back to the know your customer legitimacy.
Sure.
I opened my last week my Coinbase wallet, and first, are you asking the same questions that a bank has to ask here in the US in terms of who are you, your ID, and things like that to open the wallet?
More or less, yeah. That's the idea. Generally speaking, firms take what's called a risk-based approach to collecting information from their users, i.e., if people are doing higher transaction amounts, you probably want to know more about them, and that's sort of the approach that we take as well. But generally speaking, yeah, it's similar standards as to what a bank would expect.
Then I saw that just by opening the wallet with your email, ID, password, etc., you already have a first level of wallet capability. What can I do there?
You can send and receive Bitcoin, and you can buy or sell Bitcoin with a certain limit. If you'd like to up those limits, it's 10 Bitcoin on the buy side and 50 Bitcoin on the sell side.
Okay.
If you'd like to do more than that, you can go through further identity verification to increase those limits. Again, it's sort of this risk-based approach where the better we know you, the more comfortable we are with letting you do more.
Yeah, it's exactly like a regular bank. But what is that second level? What do I have to do?
It's providing a couple of basic pieces of identity verification, name, address, date of birth, and last four of social. And then we'll ask you a couple what are commonly referred to as out-of-wallet questions, things that are a matter of public record, but are pretty hard to answer correctly if you aren't really you.
I went through that system, and now I'm verified. And I also linked my Chase account.
Nice.
now that I'm verified, this second level, how is it different? Now that you know me, what is it different? How is it different to the first level?
Yeah, so you can buy up to 50 Bitcoin, and we actually do it such that you can buy 50 Bitcoin instantly, i.e., you don't have to wait until your dollar transfer clears, which is roughly 3 business days. So the entire process is a bit more seamless. And I should also mention that the limits that are currently in place right now are just kind of what we feel is roughly appropriate. So they could reasonably change over time, and those limits could increase.
Yes, PayPal has the same two-level system. When you
Mhm.
open a PayPal account with your email, you can move money up to a certain level, but if you verify your account, so it's very easy. I think it's great that you're doing that. Um, my last question is about the blog. I see that you have a blog and it's relatively active and has very interesting articles.
Mhm.
What is the objective of the blog? What do you use it for? To teach, to educate, to what is the purpose of the blog?
Yeah, I mean, most commonly it's to let people know about exciting new features that we've shipped. It's funny. Like I feel like Bitcoin is moving so fast, and the ecosystem is so new that a lot of the posts, even if they are us posting a new product that we've launched, really are almost moving Bitcoin and the entire ecosystem along as well. So the big one, like I mentioned last week, was these instant purchases. Um, Another really exciting one for us, which I think again furthers the Bitcoin ecosystem as well, is us announcing recurring payments, which is since Bitcoin is sort of a push technology and that people need to send payment rather than being able to pull a payment from an account like your cell phone company probably does every month. We've built a layer on top of Bitcoin such that companies like anybody, picture anybody that does recurring payment, software as a service, Netflix, et cetera, could
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically do a recurring payment, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so you're building new services and you use the blog to communicate that.
Exactly.
And that is, in a way, what you say is by furthering the Bitcoin uh, cause is the more services there are that people use in their day-to-day, the more usable the network is.
Exactly. Yeah. Our view is that Bitcoin is a very powerful underlying technology. It's just a little complicated, and people need a good gateway to be able to use it in everyday matters.
I think you're building that gateway you envision.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Bueno, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations for Coinbase. I'm using it. I think it's a very good service, and that doesn't have the feeling that it's something far away like other services and exchanges. And you're going also the friendly way. That doesn't mean it's good or bad, but for the consumer, it's much easier to know that you're not going to have problems with of any type.
Yeah, it's certainly an idea, and I always love hearing that from our customers.
Thank you very much for your time and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Bye bye.